Hey guys, it's Nick from Pick MMA and I'm back with another video for you guys. I really wanted to make this video as soon as I could, because the more I think about this fight, the more I'm thinking that Chris Weidman is gonna use his championship experience that he has. I mean, this dude's been in there with Anderson Silva twice, and he beat him twice by knockout. Like that's that's big, man. Even at 39 years old, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Chris Weidman here against a guy who's never even made it to the title shot. Never ever made it to a top five and is at 185. And Brad Tavares is no spring chicken himself. He's 35 years old, almost 36 years old, and the age gap is not that big. I mean, Weidman is what, 39 years old. Let's talk about some points that I'm gonna make why I think Chris Weidman is gonna be winning this fight. So Chris Weidman, I mean, this guy scores around 4 takedowns per 15 minutes, right? Like that's how many normal takedowns that he gets. I don't know if he's gonna get 4 takedowns on Brad Tavares, but I definitely think he can mix in a 1 or 2 takedowns here, get a bunch of control time on him, wear him out, because Brad Tavares is not really a wrestler or grappler. This dude wants to stand and bang on the feet. Doesn't really have the chin to stand and bang, but I mean, he thinks he does, I guess. But yeah, man, Weidman has a 47% takedown accuracy in the UFC. I mean, that's pretty high up there. A lot of people have takedown accuracy in their 30% or 20%. Some even have like 35%, but 40, almost 50% takedown accuracy. I think this is gonna come into play here in this fight. So we all know Brad Tavares isn't a knockout guy. This dude's not really going out there sparking anyone. I mean, he's not gonna go out there and spark Chris Weidman. I really don't think he's gonna spark Chris Weidman in this fight. And he's got what, 2 knockout wins in the UFC. In his 22 UFC fights, he's got 2 wins by knockout. I mean, that's very low knockout average at 185 for a guy who's been in there for so long. He's been in the UFC for so long by now. He's fought almost everyone that's a big name in the UFC at 185. I mean, we all know Brad Tavares doesn't have the best fight IQ in there when he's in there with those guys. He always fights to his opponent's level. He's never going out there and really like dominating guys. This dude's like fighting to his opponent's level. He's just doing just enough to get the win by decision. Not really trying to go out there, hunt a finish or anything like that. And I think he's gonna try to do the same here. I think he's just gonna try to outpoint Chris Weidman in this fight, and he's gonna be satisfied with just the decision victory here. He's not really gonna go out there and put it all on the line against 39 years old Chris Weidman, the former champion. I mean, I think this is a better fight for Chris Weidman than it is for Brad Tavares. Even though Chris Weidman is 39 years old, I know I keep talking about that age, but that's a big point in this fight. That's a big issue in this fight. I think the betting lines do reflect that he's 39 years old, but man, can we just talk about that? Like there's guys that are 40 years old, like Jim Miller, fighting at 155, knocking people out at 155. Like, come on. Like, just because he's 39 years old, we just can't write him off already. This dude's the former champion, has a lot of experience at the UFC level, been in there with some high level killers. And let's talk about Brad Tavares, man. He's 35 years old, right? Has a what, 22 UFC fights. I mean, he's taken a lot of damage in there. He was in a firefight with Dricus du Plessis, who absolutely sparked Robert Whittaker. But I think that was more on Robert Whittaker not really showing up out there. He just kind of looked like he didn't really have the motivation to go out there and really like take some damage, and didn't really have that dog in him in that last fight. I mean, but yeah, man, like this dude, like he's coming off a knockout loss himself, man. In his last fight against Bruno Silva, he was a minus 200 and like 20 favorite, I think, or minus 190 favorite against a power frog striker like Bruno Silva, and he was favored to win that fight. Like you can go look at the odds for that fight. He was a favorite, like 2-1 favorite to win that fight. Everyone thought he was gonna use his UFC experience over a guy like Bruno Silva, who just swings hammers at you. Doesn't really have the speed. I mean, we all know Bruno Silva isn't the fastest guy out there at 185, and the Bruno Silva can be taken down, man. And Bruno Silva can be clipped. He can be submitted. If Gerald Meerschaert is submitting a guy like Bruno Silva, and like it just doesn't make sense, man. Like Tavares he should have won that fight. That was his fight to win, and he absolutely like choked in that spot. I don't know how people can trust him here against even a former champion, a guy who's been in there with some high level fighters, man. But yeah, man, let's talk about the next part. Why I think Brad Tavares is not a good bet this weekend. Brad Tavares at minus 270 is an absolute joke to me against a former champion like Chris Weidman. I mean, let's talk about Brad, man. Brad Tavares does not have a win over anyone who is still active in the UFC. So that means Brad Tavares does not have a W over anyone who is still fighting in the UFC right now. Most of his wins that he does have in the UFC are over. Some of those guys are in the PFL now. Like that just tells you, man. Like this dude's not all that good, not as good as people think he is. And I don't know how people can trust him here at this wide of a line. I mean, I do know that Chris Weidman has been knocked out in his last couple fights, but in his last fight, man, it wasn't like he didn't get clipped to the head. It was a leg injury that caused that TKO loss. But yeah, man, it's not like he took a lot of damage to his head or anything like that, which can really impact the fighters. And like when you get a knocked out to your head, you take a lot of damage to your brain. I mean, that's not good for your health at all. But the legs can always heal. I mean, he's taken time off. He's taken enough time out to get the surgery already. He's recovered. He's taken what 2 years out, over 2 years off now. I mean, that's more than enough time to let your whole body recover. He's been training as Cheryl Longo, uh, and those guys with Aljamain Sterling and those guys. I mean, dude, that camp is really putting it together right now. Um, a lot of fighters are training out there, and they're looking really, really good out there. And if you look at Chris Weidman, like he's sparring, he looks pretty fast, man. He doesn't look slow for a 39 years old. His kicks are pretty fast. His hands are pretty lightning fast. I mean, against a guy that's not dangerous for finishing you, like Brad Tavares isn't. I don't think Chris Weidman's gonna have much to worry about in this fight. I mean, what is he gonna have to worry about? The volume that Brad Tavares might land, some leg kicks that he might throw at him. Like, dude, Weidman's gonna go out there. This dude's always gonna fight for your money. Like that's one thing I like about Chris Weidman. I'm a huge fan of Chris Weidman, and I'm a fan of Brad Tavares too, man. This dude always goes out there, and he's always putting it on the line. I mean, but like he's most of the time when he loses is by like he gets knocked out or he wins by decision. Like that's his game. Like I don't know if he's gonna be able to survive to the 15 minutes. I mean, even like it doesn't matter when you're getting old, you still have your power. I mean, you might not have the speed at 39 years old, and I don't think Weidman's gonna have the speed. I think Brad Tavares is gonna be faster here, if we're being honest. But the power is still gonna be there, and we all know Brad Tavares doesn't have the best chin, and you can definitely put him down, put him out. Like as long as you catch him at the right on the button, you can definitely knock him out here. And man, at plus 220, like Brad Tavares, I mean, Chris Weidman, sorry guys, yeah, Chris Weidman at plus 220, like I'll definitely take a stab at it. Like I put a half a unit on it at plus 220 money line. Like there's 100% value there for you guys, man, on a former champion who's proved it time and time again. I know he's got some losses, but who doesn't, man? Brad Tavares has lost many times in the UFC too, and he's coming off a KO loss. Hasn't taken enough time off, in my opinion. And but if we're being honest, Chris Weidman seems hungrier than Brad Tavares to me. Like if you listen to both of their interviews, I mean, Weidman just seems like he's still more hungry and he's like more invested in the game of MMA. Like he's really like he really wants to make one more run at it. Like he wants to try make one more run, and I don't think he would have taken this fight if he was compromised. I really don't think so, man. That's not the type of guy Weidman is. He's not trying to go out there. He's not showing up for a paycheck. This dude really, he really believes himself, and why wouldn't he, man? He defended the belt at 185. I mean, he's got some really good veins. He's beaten the best middleweight fighter of all time, Anderson Silva, twice, knocked him out twice. Like, that's big, man. That's big. I'm shocked that he's a plus 220 underdog here. Should be like, this line should be Brad Tavares minus 150 and Weidman like what, plus 120 or plus 130. Like, it shouldn't be like this is a lot of disrespect to Chris Weidman here, and I think he's gonna prove to a lot of people that he still got what it takes to beat these guys that are like gatekeepers and not even gatekeepers. I mean, can you even call Brad Tavares a gatekeeper? This dude's like not even in the rankings right now. Like I don't think you can even call him a gatekeeper. Um, Man, I just wouldn't ever bet Brad Tavares, knowing that he doesn't really use his fight IQ when he goes out there. I mean, he should have taken Bruno Silva down or try to clinch him, tire him out maybe. Like that's what he should have done instead of standing right in front of Bruno Silva, leaving his chin right up in the center line and getting cracked and getting knocked out in the first round by a guy like Bruno Silva, who doesn't isn't really the fastest guy out there. Like I said before, does have power, but a lot of people have power, man. Weidman has power too. I think he's gonna show it this weekend. And let's talk about one more, man. One more fact. At least Chris Weidman has a win over an active UFC fighter, uh, which is Kelvin Gastelum, who's still fighting in the UFC. You can't say the same thing about Brad Tavares. This dude has no wins who over fighters that are still fighting in the UFC. So like that's, I don't know, like I think that's gotta count for something. And man, Kevin Gastelum is one of the hardest fights on any given day. This dude's one of the most durable guy ever. Never gets knocked down, or I think he's been knocked down like once. Never knocked out. He's like Gastelum has never ever been knocked out. And Weidman like submitted him. Like you don't see Kelvin Gastelum going out there and getting submitted. That dude's like one of the toughest guys to finish ever in the UFC. He's got to be up there at one of the most durable fighters ever. And Weidman not only has a win over him, he finished him. And I mean, can we just be honest? Like even Israel Adesanya wasn't able to finish um, a guy like Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, sure he knocked him down a couple times, but wasn't able to submit him or knock him out or anything. But Weidman was able to do that. I mean, everyone's sleeping on Weidman's skills, man. I just can't believe how many people are sleeping on his skills. I know that age factor is pretty big here, but what is 3 4 years? It's only 3 or 4 years, and it's not like only Chris Weidman has taken damage throughout his career. Brad Tavares has taken a lot of damage too, and he's coming off a KO loss too. He got hit so hard at his head by Bruno Silva, and he got put down so badly. Like that was a pretty brutal knockout by Bruno Silva. And man, I think Weidman can even find a submission here if he's able to get Brad Tavares to the mat. I think he's gonna be able to get the takedown. And but just bet the money line, man. Just sprinkle something on the money line. And if Brad Tavares does show up and he looks really good in this fight, then this might be Chris Weidman's last fight, man. You might want to put a little sprinkle on Chris Weidman. This might be the last time we see him. But if he does win this fight, like I think he's gonna win this fight, I think we're gonna see Chris Weidman still in the UFC. So like as long as Weidman doesn't look completely washed coming back after 2 years, like I really do think, man, like I'm speaking from the heart, Like, I'm not even trying to be biased right now to you guys. I really do think Chris Weidman is the more well-rounded fighter, has more skills on the feet, has more ways to get the win here. While I think Brad Tavares' only path to victory is basically outstriking him from range. And I just don't think Weidman's gonna go out there, and I don't think he's gonna go out there and freeze and not throw back. I think this is gonna be a very competitive fight back and forth. I think Weidman's gonna do just enough to win by decision here. I think the finish is very unlikely. Both guys are pretty durable. I just don't see Weidman finishing Tavares at this age. But you never know, man. But I'm gonna pick Chris Weidman on the scorecards. But yeah, man, I think we might not even see him get into a firefight. I mean, um, I'm talking about Brad Tavares here. Like him knowing that he got cracked in his last fight put out by Bruno Silva, he might hesitate and not throw enough volume out there, scared of getting hit back and not knowing if he can still take a punch or not. You never know, man. You never know what's going on in these fighters' head. It's pretty brutal, man. When you get knocked out as bad as he did by Bruno Silva, you just don't know how he's gonna come back and look. But yeah, man, even Omari Akhmedov, who's not in the UFC anymore, took Tavares down twice in that fight. I know Tavares got the win by split decision or something like that, but man, that fight was pretty competitive. And he got taken down, controlled on the mat for 2 minutes. I just think that Weidman is the better grappler than Omari Akhmedov, and I think even at 39 years old, he can definitely get more control time, land some ground and pound, or even find a submission here. He's very good with his jiu-jitsu, and I definitely think he's live for a submission in this fight. But just maybe you can bet a submission or decision. But I would just moneyline it, man. Plus 220, I think there's value there. But if you want to even get more value, I think if you wait until fight night, you will definitely get more juicy money line on Chris Weidman. I think almost everyone is gonna write him off due to his age and him coming back after a surgery and a big layoff. I think you're probably gonna get Brad Tavares at plus 250 or plus 270 or plus 300 even by fight night, cause that's just how it is, man. MMA, it's that's just how it goes. Like people just once you like get into your 39s or 40s, like people just don't think you have a chance anymore to get a win in a MMA fight. Like anything can happen, man. Like both of these guys are very hittable on the feet. Tavares is always getting hit. He's always getting countered back. He doesn't really move his head. Doesn't have any head movement. Doesn't really have a good footwork. He stands like pretty uh like doesn't have the best footwork. It's pretty flat-footed. I mean, but yeah, man. Weidman trains with Aljamain Sterling. I mean, who will be looking to defend his belt against Sean O'Malley. So I mean, we all know Weidman's gonna be very motivated to get a W here, and he's gonna be like probably working very hard. You can tell in this picture that he's in very good shape, man. Look at him. He's got a six pack. What is that? Yeah, he's got like a six pack there. Looks absolutely ripped, and I think he's coming to take Brad Tavares' head off, man. I really do think Chris Weidman's gonna get it done. Okay, guys, I'm gonna end this video here, but don't forget to hit the subscribe button once again. And I'm gonna be doing a giveaway at once I hit 100 subscribers. I'm gonna be giving away $50 to 2 lucky random people who are subbed to my channel. So don't forget to hit that sub button. I really appreciate all of your support, guys. I really appreciate all of you guys. I hope you take care of yourself, and best of luck on the betting side of this UFC 292 card. I know it's gonna be an amazing card. I can't wait until fight night. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.